I have a long history of disliking crowd control. If you go back and watch some of my older commentary videos, don't, a lot of my takes involve a strong hatred of mechanics that stun, slow, disrupt, or otherwise blockade the player from doing whatever it is they're doing. I don't like fighting against the Natasha. I don't like fighting against the loose cannon. I'm largely okay with the Force in Nature even though it has some of the strongest knockback in the game because it only has 2 shots and a long reload time, so it never feels like you can just get locked in place by some idiot relentlessly trapping you in a corner with no hope of escape. I'm gonna have to talk about this, aren't I? Okay, look, I'm not a fan of Airblast. In fact, it's one of my least favorite mechanics in any video game. Here's my take. I think Airblast needs a complete overhaul, but you would have to be really careful about how this was done, since Airblast does so many useful things. It extinguishes teammates, does knockback to enemies, deflects projectiles. Airblast gives the Pyro her identity, and without it she'd be kinda worthless. If you don't believe me, take a look at every Flog Pyro in existence. Sure, they get a few chain kills here and there with the crits, but without Airblast, the class is crippled. So why don't I like it? Well, my irritation with this mechanic comes down to 2 things: size and spam. The Airblast hitbox is the size of a truck. There's no way around it. Literally. It may as well cover the entire map. One Pyro standing in a choke point can deny every projectile in existence. And if you get into a room with a Pyro, good luck getting out. Not only will you be stuck against a wall or in a corner, if you have the audacity to play Demo Man or Soldier, your weapons will be turned against you. At least the Soldier has the option of equipping a shotgun, but for Demo Man, literally everything he can do is countered by Airblast. It deflects pipes, makes sticky bombs roll around, shuts down Demo Knight. If a semi-competent Pyro player exists in a match, you may as well not play Demo Man. That's how oppressive it is. But forget about deflection for a minute. What bugs me more than that is the knockback. Look, if a medic wants to use an Uber charge, he has to spend a minimum of 40 seconds healing injured players, stay alive under constant pressure from spies, snipers, and scouts, and then rely on his patient skill to make good use of the Uber. It takes teamwork, communication, and game sense to build and effectively utilize an Uber charge. And on the other side of the fence, if a Pyro wishes to completely shut down an Uber charge and make all that effort and communication invalid, he has to hold down the right mouse button and look in the vague direction of the Ubered player. It gets to the point where a medic honestly shouldn't pop Uber if any Pyros are alive. And I think that's stupid. The mere existence of a class shouldn't prevent you from engaging with integral game mechanics. That's the whole beef people have with Sniper. It's oppressive and boring. The counterplay against Airblast is just don't get close to the Pyro or just don't use projectiles. You know, because games are meant to be extremely restrictive and narrow. That's fun, right? Airblast needs a rework. It's too easy to spam and does far too much for far too little effort. Reflecting projectiles and knocking back enemies is fine. The problem is that Pyro can do it far too frequently. It shouldn't be a magic force field that protects against 100% of all damage, especially since the Pyro can fire these blasts at the same rate or faster than any projectile in the game. Here's my idea for a rework. Give airblasting a delay similar to the Dragon's Fury, but if a Pyro successfully reflects any projectile or extinguishes a teammate, the delay is removed. So theoretically, if a Pyro can keep deflecting rockets, the Airblast would be just as fast as it is now. This delay only applies if you aren't deflecting or extinguishing teammates. The delay absolutely would still apply to knocking back enemies though. Pyros should not be able to effectively kick players from the server by holding down right click. This would massively decrease spam without making Airblast substantially weaker. It rewards you for succeeding with Airblast and punishes you for failing, rather than just letting you do it forever. Yes, it would make it harder for Pyros to shut down Uber charges, but honestly, that's only fair. Rather than just pushing an Uber charge player away infinitely, the Pyro would have to time the Airblast in order to obstruct the Ubered player, blasting them out of sight of sentry guns, off cliffs, or otherwise wasting the invulnerable player's time. Shutting down Ubers would still be very doable, it just wouldn't be free, and wouldn't be so tedious to deal with on the receiving end. Some people think that if it's not overpowered, why change it? I don't like this philosophy. Video games are primarily meant to be fun, and being stuck in a corner isn't fun. A mechanic being boring or tedious or frustrating is more than enough reason to change it. Airblast isn't overpowered, it's just lame. The rework idea would fix that, without reducing its power or removing its necessary function. That's all.